So this morning I was reading from the book of Exodus,
Why are you the way that you are?
and I was going through the story where Moses is trying to get the children of Israel out of their condition. But when I was reading it, I was concerned. I was concerned because two things. One, this idea of working for money and then working for money so that you can just survive and not enjoy the fruit of your labor, it's starting to get to me, right? Some people will say it's living paycheck to paycheck. But when I read this, it happened to hit at a time where I was looking at a few different videos on TikTok. One was about the bartering system, which I have some questions around that. Another was about the idea of AI replacing you, which I have more ideas about. And then third was this clip from a movie. What was the clip from? Hold on one second. The clip was from Pop the Balloon. Pop, love a pop. Love a pop. Okay. So there's this show called Pop the Balloon or Find Love. And a woman came on there and the host says, "What do you do?" And we all know in America that that means, what's your title? What do you do for work? But when I tell you, when she answered the way she did and people responded the way that they did, it made me realize that something is just off a little bit. And I don't know if it's going to click for everyone, but I'm going to try to make this click. So let's go through the clip first. Let's go through the Pop the Balloon because I want to title this for Pop the Balloon purposes first. So I want to go there first. So I'm going to put the picture up from this scene and describe it as much as I can. What I gathered from this interaction was a woman is expressing in some way that she wants to be able to enjoy and live life. She doesn't want to spend her entire life just working. Now, if we zoom out, everything that we appreciate, all the conveniences that we have, it is a result of somebody working. So people will have to work. The system that has been created that we love and enjoy, that we want to go and play around in, requires people to work. So there is that part. So I understand why people are looking at each other like, but you need a job though. Like you just can't be out here living. Granted, I understand. Why I wanted to play around with this a little bit because this next thought is about AI, okay? AI is supposedly replacing jobs so much that there's a prediction that X amount of jobs are going to be replaced. That X amount of job being replaced means that people will either shift to another type of job, which was probably managing these AI systems, or they'll become creators, or they may not work, or they may become the poor. I'm not sure how it all will land, but the ideas that are floating around is hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, wait, hurry up, hurry up. They about to take your job. They about to take your job. Hurry up and learn more, 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 more. Okay? I don't like that feeling. I don't like that feeling. Okay? Two reasons why. Maybe it means, oh, I gotta grow. You know, they say you gotta stretch, you gotta grow, you gotta grow, okay? But I don't like that feeling because it's like every time you feel like you have reached the goalposts, move some more. It moves some more. So are you ever going to be satisfied? Or are we always going to be chasing and wanting more, 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 more? Now, talking about this growth. What I find most fascinating is how the seeds are so small that I'm planting in my garden outside for cucumbers and celery. They're so small, but they but so much comes from it, right? It's fruit that I can eat, right? I can benefit from it. When I grow the lettuce and I'm growing the green leaves, if I cut 1/3 of it, it grows some more. That is what I want to accomplish. I don't want to have to chase the new trend, even though I think it's fascinating. I love the idea of AI replacing jobs. I love the idea of AI replacing jobs so that we can think, so that we can pause, so that we can realize that there's some things that we skipped over in human order, like decency and kindness to one another, working on the fact that we do have those anger issues, that we are harming other people outside of ourselves, that there is something that could be worked on. All of those things are reasons why I think AI replacing jobs are a good thing. Beyond that, I feel like it'll give us an opportunity to plant gardens, to hang out with one another, to maybe even have time to slow down so we don't have to keep rushing to the next thing. Let the machines and computers, now that they exist, run to the next thing. But I know there are theories around, all of the theories around this can be scary or harmful and not good for the environment. There's so many things that we can dig into. But let's just say that AI wasn't harming the environment. Let's say that idea was a truth, that it could exist and we still could benefit from having time to live life. Some people are on the internet and they're saying that they don't want to be here anymore because the way that they have to work paycheck to paycheck, because it's difficult for them to find a job. The food is expensive. That is the reality that they're living in. So it makes sense. Why am I living to work? And I find that this is one of those topics that some people get and some people don't because of the experiences that they have or the mindset they have towards this life, which could be driven by their faith, could be driven by their lack of, could be driven by their environment. But whatever it is, you'll see people land in different spots. One could be that they just don't even think about that idea. And when someone says they do not want to live to work, I imagine that they do want to live. They want to experience this life. If life is short and one day you don't know what happens, wouldn't it be nice to enjoy being alive? Wouldn't it be nice to sit outside and feel the air and not be stressed about if your water is coming on or not? Coming on or to not stress about your water bill, okay? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be? But somehow we've got so wrapped up in this system and it's convenient for us and it's normal for us that when someone says that they want to live for a living, it's like, whoa, pop your balloon, pop your balloon, pop your balloon, because they want to live for a living. Pop your balloon. And the other reason why I think this is so wild and crazy kids is the fact that no one just stopped to pause for inquiry. Like, hey, she said, what do you do? We commonly know that to be, hey, I like to work for my job. I like to give it to my boss. I like to get that paper money because that means more than just a human. That's what we typically think about this thing as. Why did you say that? And then she would say, I really do enjoy life. I feel like I don't know what happens after this, and it would be nice to experience living, traveling. But instead, I'm working and working and working, and I don't enjoy it. So there are other things that we could do. We can find the things that we love to do, we love to enjoy. We can find the type of careers that bring us life. We could find the type of careers that is aligned with our gift. But what happens in some of these spaces is now this thing that was precious in your gift, people are like, give me more, 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 more. Like, I like to talk. I like to talk. And the idea of becoming a content creator in any other space other than YouTube is a little bit draining because now I'm looking at the big picture. I'm looking at how celebrities, how people respond to them, how every single inch of their lives are magnified, how they, if they go out somewhere, they cannot enjoy that space without someone coming up to them. And although I like that idea of being on commercials and taking over Flo's job at Progressive, I don't need to take over her job because she's good at it, right? But I could find something that I enjoy and I like to do that is in that same space, right? I have started to talk in a whole bunch of different circles, but this is the main reason why I brought you all into this video and I soaked you in with that Pop the Balloon song. Pop the balloon, love or pop, love or pop, love or pop, love or pop, okay? The reason why I brought y'all in because I was reading Exodus, and I'm not gonna read all of this, but when I was reading it, it was heavy because I was like, "Dang, that's crazy, right? That's wild." And I want to read it with y'all because I want to get y'all thoughts, and I want to pause again and reread what I read so that I can write down my notes, question, and put a Substack together. So let's go through this. So they're making bricks without straw, y'all. That's why this all connected. They're making bricks without straw. Yo, some people are working and working and working, and people are piling on more work for them, but they're not giving them the tools or the resources or the income to match the workload that they're giving them. And still, they expect them to be superheroes and AI machines. But AI machines are AI machines. So they say, hey, we're not going to give you the training, but we want you to find the time, even though you don't have the time because we're giving you this much work to master this thing because we pay you money. But we're not going to give you the time to do so. We're not going to give you the money to have the flexibility in doing so. We are just going to expect it from you. That is reminding me of making bricks without straw. Okay, so I want to read this with y'all because I thought this was an interesting text in the Bible that relates to today's topic. Making bricks without straw. Okay, you ready? This is the Student Bible. No, it's not called Student Bible. Wait a second. It's the ESV version. If y'all following along, if you didn't come here expecting the Bible to come out, just follow along. You can look it up online. You can use one of the AI tools, but I'm going to read it from the book. I got a really nice one that I really like and enjoy. Okay, ready? Go. Afterward, Moses and Aaron went and said to Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness. But Pharaoh said, who is the Lord, that I shall obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and moreover, I will not let Israel go. So, all right. So when I saw this, I was like, dang. I was thinking, dang, Pharaoh. Like, can you do that? In my mind, I don't think that you could do that. So I'm trying to figure out who are these Pharaoh people, right? Because, all right, this is what it reminds me of. This is what it reminds me of. So people are living in America, and some people live in America and they believe in God. So they like, oh, I worship God, I honor God, I love God, I respect God, right? And then there's these other people like, God, like, I'm God, right? And so those people, they, they, I wish I had pearls. I'm gonna go get some pearls. I'll be right back. So those people that say, I'm good. I'm good. Like inside of myself, like God is me. Like others is like, oh, I gotta clutch my pearls. I gotta clutch them. Right? I gotta clutch them. Because how can you say that? That's wild. That's wild to say you are your own God. Now, because this channel has been designed to invite all different beliefs systems, diversity of beliefs. I want everybody to talk about, where they stand and where they land. Me personally, there's a lens that you have to accept when you're listening to different belief systems. One is that we all are coming from different experiences. So if someone experiences different than mine, I have to realize that their world, their lens is completely different than mine. And because it's different, I have to expect that there are going to be things that are different, and I'm going to see things differently than they are. But I will make space to consider what is really meant by what they say. Like, why, how do you come to that understanding, right? So when I think about the idea personally of being God, and I listen to how everyone is talking on the internet about what God didn't do or why God this and what's going on with God, I'm like, ooh, I don't need that position, right? I personally don't need, can you see what's going on with my hair right now? Like, I couldn't even get this, I couldn't get this to do things. And I still decided to get on the internet. So you can't trust my decision making when it comes to being a god. So me personally, I'm like, somebody else take it, right? Somebody else take it, because it couldn't be me, right? But that's not the reason that I brought this up. The reason I brought this up is because I want to understand how Pharaoh was like who was he, right? When I look at the understanding of pharaohs, they don't have names always in the Bible. It's just like they was king, like they was the president at the time or whatever. But it just seemed real bold, right? Because of my lens and how I grew up and still how I view, I'm still one of those people, right? I'm still one of those people. I'm like, it gotta be a creator of all things. And I'm going to respect creation. I love, that can't happen. Okay. I love the fact that I exist, but I know that I am not waking myself up in the morning. I'm just not. And it could be some habits that I choose allow me to do so, but still, I have a lot of choices that really make me wonder how I did wake up in the morning. Okay. But anyway, this is where I'm pausing. I'm saying, oh, but how is he talking like that? Like he don't care? All right, so let's keep going. So he said, he don't know the Lord. Let's go. Then they said, the God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please let us go a 3 days journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. Now I had to pause, y'all. Because being someone who enjoys the Bible, being someone who's like, ooh, a God does exist, and Jesus has name and his power in his name, I was pausing right here. I completely paused right here because I didn't understand. I don't know what that means. Do y'all know? If anybody knows what this means, enter. Right? I didn't know what it means. Like, why did they have to go into the wilderness to sacrifice to the Lord their God? And I imagine that there is sacrificial laws that make sense for this text, and we could break it down. I use this app, and I'm not going to use it right now, but there's an app called Logos, and it gives you context for reading the Bible. So if you want to journey with me, I will be looking at that again later on. But as I'm reading, I imagine that there are different processes when you're really studying something. One is try to take it in without any outside voices to see what your first reaction is without it being influenced by someone's studies or someone else's ideas, but taking it for yourself. So right now, this is the take in of myself. If I can find more understanding on what that means, I would. Now, one of the things I usually do is I'll look to see if the bottom of the study text will have some information on what was going on. And it's always the scripture that I have a question about that's not below in the study text, so we'll keep moving. All right, so then it goes to say, but the king of Egypt said to him, Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people away from their work? Get back to your burdens. Woo! That's wild to me. What do you mean by that? Get back to my burdens. See, this is what I'm saying, y'all. This is what I'm saying. She want to live for a living, right? Can y'all see what I'm trying to illustrate right here? If you can see it already, because maybe you have read the Bible before, you're familiar with the story, but can you see how it all matches? She wants to live for a living because history shows that there's pharaohs and places that want you to be working so hard that it's a burden to you. But maybe I'm reading that wrong. But I'll reread. But the king of Egypt said to them, Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people away from their work? Like, what are you doing? They're supposed to be at work and you bothering them, so can they have a break? No. Get back to your burdens, okay? I might be misunderstanding that, but I'm telling y'all, this is reading it without anybody else. That's how I'm looking at that. Is he telling Moses and Aaron to get back to their burdens, or he wanted the people to get back to their burdens? And Pharaoh said, behold, the people of the land are now many, and you make them rest from their burdens? Am I misunderstanding something? Why? Why? All right, let's keep reading. The same day, Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their foremen, you shall no longer give the people straw to make bricks, as in the past. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. But the number of bricks that they made in the past, you shall impose on them. You shall by no means reduce it, for they are idle. Therefore they cry, let us go and offer sacrifice to our God. Let heavier work be laid on the men that may labor at it and pay no regard to lying words. Are y'all seeing it? Something not right. Something not right. Well, and you know what's so weird about it is, like, Pharaoh in his head is like, oh yeah, this is cool to do. Like, this is just what it is. Like, there's nothing that gives him pause that say, man, I probably shouldn't require more work for them and then not match it up. I probably shouldn't do, like, there's something in his brain, in his mind is like, nah, I don't care about people. Like, what is that? That's the investigation. What is that causes people to just be so ill to the next? Like, what is that? Do you come with it by birth? Like, does it come into the world with you? Like, you just come in as a I don't care person, or do you come in and someone hurts you and you're like, like, how did Pharaoh get this way? I am curious. I'm curious. Okay, let's keep going. So the taskmasters and the foremen of the people went out and said to the people, thus says Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go and get your straw yourselves, wherever you can find it, but your work will not be reduced in the... Yo, when I was reading this, I'm like, this is not something that's giving me inspiration for the morning time, right? It's not like, go get them, tiger. You got it. It's like, ooh, oof. I'm not inspired, right? Because one, I have to realize this is not an inspirational text. It's just telling the history. So it's not like I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, I love this. But I do love it. Because listen, there's a lot of things that are connected here. So let's, like, that, does that, yo, that's wild. Because this is when I realized this morning on a walk. This is what I realized this morning on a walk. Yo, I appreciate the fact that as I'm walking through this pathway near my home, that I don't have to go like through the woods and like try to figure out how to get to my home to the other side. I like the fact that they're like, hey, it's 3 miles of walking here, and hey, here's the entry point, and hey, here's a nice path. But I know that it requires somebody to do some work. It requires some designing. It requires someone's energy, and they probably got paid for it with money. I understand that completely. People got jobs. They contribute to the community. And all this convenience that we have is a product of someone designing a system to say, hey, let's do this and let's do that so that we can try new things about life. Maybe we don't just have to sit here in our tribes and grow food and vegetables and, make love all day and hunt all day. Maybe we can, build a business and a house and a billboard. Maybe we can get fluffy toys and Play-Dohs and camping gear and all these things. But we gotta get workers, so I get it. I get it. I get it. I love it too. Like, I love some of this. I brought this with money from Amazon.com, unfortunately. And fortunately at the same time. I like the idea of a .com where I like the fact that when I click on something and I want it to come delivered to my house, that there are workers involved in this. But somebody working at Amazon.com was like, yo, I'm just tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm tired of working a job. I don't want to just live to work. Someone at Amazon.com is saying that right now as we speak. I promise you. Someone tired of their job right now and they about to deliver somebody's toy. So what am I complaining about, right? What? She can't live for a living? Ew. She can't live for a living because somebody gotta deliver toys, okay? I get it. Now I'm gonna go here. Go and get your straw yourselves, wherever you can find it. But your work will not be reduced in the least. So it's like, we're about to take away something that helped you do the job effectively. We're gonna take it away. Yo. We're about to take away something that helps you effectively do the job. And we're still gonna require you to do the same amount of work. Can the choir let me know when you have seen that happen anywhere in your lives? Maybe some of y'all haven't seen it, but there are probably a lot of different examples of people taking away what helps you do your work effectively and still want you to perform at the same level. But you know what you have to do? You have to be grateful and thankful and still love your job and still survive America, because if you don't, the fear behind it is that you won't have nowhere to live because we created the system like that. How do you escape it? You find another angle, right? Maybe you become a creator, maybe you sell some digital products, maybe you chase AI, but you still have to keep going and grinding to perform. So my idea is like, what job, what gift do you have, do I have, that I can love and enjoy, that doesn't feel like it's soaking my life away? Or do I have to change my perspective about work altogether? Where would I land? Where would I land? Who knows? Most of the time, I have to perspective shift. And it's helpful. Being thankful in the morning literally makes everything easy for me. Because that moment in time where I'm like, I enjoy being alive. Thank you. I'm alive, right? That's fantastic. And then everything from that is easier. When I miss those points and I can feel the day just took me, I haven't made that moment in time. So those perspectives, activities help me personally. But then I feel like there's another level to it where you can still apply that thankfulness and apply it to something strategic where you can enjoy both what you do and it feels sincere, that you love it and you don't have to fake the funk or change your mindset around it. You sincerely and truly appreciate both what you do and how it allows you to what? Live your life. A lot of people want the ideal situation to live their life and have income without having the burden, right? They talking about the burden in here. They want to be able to live their life without burden. So when we design this world where we create all of these jobs that start to burden people, but they can't get out of that cycle, we're left with questions like, well, if we all did decide to leave our jobs and not work, or let me play that TikTok, because I thought that was a really interesting TikTok. There's a TikTok of the lady who's like, we all should just stop working.
Why do I think people shouldn't have to work? Well, first off, I didn't say I don't think anyone should have to work. I said I don't think everyone should have to work, and these are not the same statements. But second off, I just don't see why. We don't need labor from everybody all the time. I would like for people to be provided basic resources and then to be able to figure out what they want to do on top of that. And I would like for us to be able to treat the core things we need in society like chores, like we do at home already. Like, I just don't want everyone to have to grind all the time because we continue to siphon off the profits of our work to people at the top. I just think that there's value in doing things that are not toiling our life away just to provide basic needs for ourselves at jobs that people hate, that they feel are soul-sucking. That's awful. That's not the society that I want to build.
We should all stop going to work and see what happens. I know it's never going to happen, but what if one day most of us would just stop going to work for, I don't know, a day or a week and just see what happens? Like, what's the worst that can really happen if we all just stop going to work? Oh, they're going to replace us with artificial intelligence. Well, they're going to do that anyway. So what would happen if we just stopped going to work? What do you think?
The people online that are saying squash capitalism by everybody mass quitting their jobs, how are they, providing for themselves every day? How are they eating? How are they having a roof over their head? How are they in vehicles traveling? How are they sustaining themselves? Are they self-employed? And if they are self-employed, whatever product or service they have, how are you going to buy their product or service when you don't have any money? So what's the plan? And do they realize that a large majority of the people that they are encouraging to leave jobs and things like that literally have no transferable skills for real life? They can't plant and grow anything. They can't sew anything. They don't know how to live without the amenities and the comforts of life. They're already mentally unwell and on medication. So what's going to happen to them when things get tougher? Some of them can't even cook, can't even make a meal out of just regular things. They've got to have every little thing be just right. I mean, keep in mind that we are talking about people that say you need 2 washcloths to shower, or you've got to have some type of African net, or you've got to have this lotion and this thing and that thing. Survival's going to be pretty difficult because, if they can't eat from Applebee's, they definitely cannot eat from the garden. So why am I seeing posts of people telling people to quit their jobs when they know good and well that people are not prepared to quit their jobs? Now, that doesn't mean that they can't get prepared. You may get forced into having to take care of yourself in a different way and not having all of the comfort and all of the amenity. And I'm saying this as someone that had to sleep in her car because she was working full time and couldn't afford an apartment. But yeah, encouraging people to mass quit without preparing people to mass quit. This is what I'm talking about. People always have some type of plan, but they never have a strategic plan to actually make things work. It's just like throwing spaghetti against a wall. Let me throw this out there and see what sticks.
What if everybody just stopped working? That would be pretty bad because the economy, like, nothing gets done anymore. I know you probably wouldn't want to work anymore, but that's just, If you can't work, then it wouldn't be fair to make everybody else work. So, you know, I mean, if like literally everybody that is at a job left their job, that would be bad. Like literally, it'd be like an industrial shutdown. You wouldn't be able to. Your power would cut off, your water would cut off, your internet would cut off, everything. Your electricity would probably cut off. School would be shut down everywhere. Walmart would be shut down. Chick-fil-A would be shut. I'm just thinking about the places I go a lot. Everybody, it would be bad. Like people have to work. Literally, you can't go to McDonald's if nobody's at McDonald's. I can't go to the gym if there's nobody managing the gym. That's just how it works. So yeah, in a country like America, you know, you gotta work. The government needs its workhorses. We're the workhorses, unfortunately, while the people up top and the rich people get like 30% of the nation's wealth, and they're chilling. But we gotta work. So yeah, it is what it is. If you have not, go check out the YouTube channel at Will Plays Lasar. Go check out the videos playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and Resident Evil 9 right now. So yeah, go check it out. Thank you for watching.
We all need to just stop going to work. We all need to just stop paying our taxes. We all need to just stop paying our bills. We need to stop paying rent. We need to stop paying for this, stop paying for that, stop doing this, stop doing that. What then? And then what? What happens next? A lot of y'all keep saying these things, and I know you have good intentions when you say these things. And I'm not saying that a general strike is completely impossible. But what I am saying is that a general strike is much more difficult than a lot of y'all seem to think it is. For a general strike to be successful, there are two things that would have to happen. Number one, organization, and a ton of it. Somebody somewhere would have to come up with a actionable plan for what we do when people start losing their homes and their cars, if you have a car, and pretty much their entire livelihood. You got to take care of those people. And those people would probably be most of us. We'd have to do something about that. I'm self-aware enough to know that I can't come up with that plan, but there are plenty of people who are way smarter than me, who most likely could. The second thing that would have to happen, which would probably be the hardest part about this, is 100% collaboration. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Everybody's got to be in agreement. There is absolutely no room for selfishness. If there's even one person who isn't on board and shows that they're not on board through their actions, it has the potential to fuck up the entire endeavor. And we can't even agree on whether or not it's masculine to pay bills or whether or not it's feminine to cook and clean. You get the picture I'm painting for you? If you're going to tell people to stop going to work and stop paying their bills and stop paying their rent, then you better be prepared to feed them and clothe them and let them borrow your car and let them stay at your house for free. Just a little tone deaf, that's all I'm saying.
We've got to stop charging for things, you guys. And I know this sounds crazy because I know you're going to be in the comments like, well, what do we do? How do you make your money? I have gotten rid of every single product and service that I have left outside of my rare limited edition digital readings. Outside of that, you cannot book me for a call anymore. But if you're a hairstylist, I'll do a reading for you. Because what I'm realizing is that we don't desire money. And it's really hard to get what you don't desire. So you could do my hair, you could do my makeup, you could shoot my photos, you can edit my videos, but you can't pay me because money is not what I desire and it's not what you desire.
If we had universal basic income, your life would be incredible, but literally not even because your bills would be paid or you would have housing or any of the like basic just survival shit. Your life would be better. My life would be better if we had universal basic income because of the incredible things that people want to do that they cannot do because survival and capitalism are preventing them from doing it. About a year ago, I posted this video that was like, if the cost of living was zero, what would you do? And hundreds upon hundreds, I think it got up to like maybe 4,000 comments of people just sharing what they would do. And like some people would just rest. Like some people literally like, I would take a nap. I would cry. I would go on my first vacation ever. But the majority of people shared the incredible things that they wish were in the world. Like, there were people who were like, oh, I wanted to go into this type of research for this type of medicine, but I couldn't afford like going through the schooling to make it happen. And so instead I do insurance. Or somebody who was like, I actually would be an incredible woodworker and I really enjoyed woodworking, but I can't like pay my food. Like, I can't do that. There is somebody in your neighborhood who deeply wants to create incredible learning opportunities for children, but the path of teaching is not going to help them afford rent. There is somebody who like deeply wants to create like gorgeous public gardens that people can walk and like enjoy, but the path to that thing is not going to help them feed their family. Like, there are people who are deeply invested in the wellness of their communities and are just not able to invest in it because to try to invest in it would lead to them not being able to be housed, fed, or taken care of. That's our failing. And so something like universal basic income, universal healthcare, these things actually say what's important to our society is not that a few people get to get billions of dollars. What's important to our society is that everybody has their basic needs so that we can all spend our time making the cool shit that could exist once we're all taken care of. And to be honest, this is the thing that like makes me so frustrated, because it is so frustrating to sit in a space and know that the, educator, artist, gardener, human being sitting across from me has an idea that would make their community better. And the only thing preventing them is that some douchebag has 16 houses instead of 2. Like, what are we doing? Again, there will be a care renaissance. We will live in a structurally care-centered world in which we are each able to move in the freeness of our being. The thing that keeps us from it is you thinking that all of us having what we need is somehow going to lead to you having a worse life. And it literally, even for those assholes at the top, it literally won't.
There are a lot of people out here who are going to work for the rest of their lives. And what frustrates me to no end, what hurts my heart, is how much we've normalized. Like, well, yeah, like, that's just something that's just going to happen. That should not be something that we're saying. We should not be okay with saying, well, yeah, there's going to be a lot of us who are going to work forever and I've just come to terms with that. No. And stop saying, listen, I talk to a lot of people, y'all. In my business, I talk to a lot of people. And here's the one thing that I have to help people understand every single time. Because people are like, well, I enjoy what I do. I don't mind working. And that's all fine and good. I am not going to argue with that. But what I need you to understand is that there's going to be a day where your mind is going to say, I want to work until whenever. And your body's going to say, absolutely not. And what are you going to do then? If you are not set up, if your financial situation is not set up, if your retirement account, if your IRA, if your 401k is not set up, if you do not know exactly how much money you need in order to not only retire, but stay retired, you are floating in dangerous waters. Make sure you know how much you need, because if you do not, you will be working whether you want to or not.
And I think there's some ideas around why that's something that needs to be investigated and explored, because how, right? If we conveniently love the safety that's built behind a system that also burdens and oppresses you in some way, you won't easily latch on to an initiative like that. And I don't think that that's a wrong thing. I think it's honest that people don't want to latch on to initiatives that when they say, hey, stop shopping here or stop doing that, when it became convenient to them or it's helpful for them, and they're already inside of a cycle where they have to go through so many different webs to even consider an exit point. That's just the consideration, or dream of an exit point. Because even with all of their ideas and their passion to have this freedom, how does it really land without direction or guidance or wisdom or people sharing ideas freely? Sometimes people have these ideas when they say, hey, trade options or, get your digital business. But then they charge you $1,500 and then it's not guaranteed that you will even understand how to do it or effectively do it. But they got their freedom and you still may be left because they say, oh, you're not consistent and you don't know how to do this. It's just a cycle, right? Of a lot of different webs that I think should be investigated. Okay? But y'all let me know. Am I talking crazy? Is she talking crazy? Are we talking crazy? Because I really feel like even though she may have not really shared everything that I'm saying in this video, the idea of people wanting to live and not be attached to a title or their job as far as the idea of living, it's valid. Maybe we can change the question, like, how do you contribute to the society? What type of, what is it? What do they call it? Occupation. What's your occupation? If you say, what's your occupation in the society as you live in the United States of America, I'd be like, all right, this is what I do as that occupation. But if you're saying, what do you do? Or what do you do for a living? I don't think that's the right question for me. When you say, what do you do and what do you do for a living? For a living? I don't like that. Reform it. And why did we form it that way? Just say occupation. Occupation. What's your occupation? Make it real stiff. Like, what's your occupation? How do you contribute to the society with an occupation? We can all do that. Part-time. I imagine the system would be like a part-time system, and I once read how there are other societies that don't require so much work and they actually contribute to their programs, like the jail programs, like actually making them better people instead of having them revisit the system and keeping them trapped in the system. Like, y'all, I'm probably not gonna get through all this, but let's just talk about this one. Because that just made me think about something, yo. It's wow. I'm about to clutch my pearls on this. We live in the United States of America. And the United States of America says that you can go to a bar. This is before Uber, y'all. This is before Uber. Before Lyft. Maybe there was taxis, but still, like, it's just, we live in the United States of America where it says, oh, you can go to a place, have fun, drink some beer. And in order to get to that place, you need to be able to walk. But then they make these places where it's like, distance, and people walk to these businesses and they drink and maybe they walk home. Maybe that's how it goes. But some of these people have cars, they get in a car and they drink and they drive home. And then the court system like, oh, we're going to lock you up. We're going to fine you because of this. We're at the root of it all. If you really don't want people to do that, shouldn't there be some type of law in place to say, we don't want these things because this is the outcome of it? Like, the outcome is that we have drunk drivers and they harm people. Like, if you really care about people's individuality and their choices, then it's just, yo, I'm gonna get into a web. I'm not gonna take y'all through this web. But yo, do y'all see that? Like, there are choices that seem like there are laws in place here in the United States of America where it seems like they're in place to make more money and to get you caught up in a trap so that they get more money instead of truly being in place to secure and protect the people. Because the cop-out is that, oh, you don't want to do those things because it's going to take away the freedom of people. But people's freedom are being taken away in other places when it comes. It's just weird. But I bring that up just because as I look at the Bible and I read it and I think about all the things and all the discussions that people talk about deconstructing and loving the God and not loving the God and being this and everything. When I think about all of it, I'm like, there are laws or there's proverbs, there's wisdom that is effective. Like, let's say you look at the Bible and you're like, I hate it. Okay, like what in the world, right? There are some laws and some proverbs in here that if you took that part and we applied it, we may be able to see the fruit of applying such laws. But in order for it to really work, everybody kind of have to be on somewhat of the same page. But then we live in a world where it's like, oh, free will, we can't be on the same page. So do we end up in a web? I literally I started this video talking about the girl and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be on here for 15 minutes, but now I'm not. I'm just gonna have to carry this through the end.
Waste my time like continuing to work when life can just happen whenever. So yeah, like working is not gonna be a forever thing for me. Okay. I don't see myself continuing to work. I feel like the money, I'm just gonna laugh. It's gonna fall out the sky. I feel like the universe be providing for me. So I feel like I'm straight. Like if I lose it all today, I'll still be straight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So now, if he were to approach you, is he someone that's your type?
I think he's handsome.
So what are your thoughts there? It seems like we are thinking in the right direction. We're thinking in the right direction because we're like, okay, let's remove money. Let's stop giving money this power. Like before there was money, when I'm reading in this Bible, it's like it was the same concept. Like you were creating, the women were creating babies who were again helping. So they were like the laborers. So the laborers were the animals and those were the things that you exchange because the animals can create your food and all that. So it's like you can't really get out of this idea of working because it's always a job to be done. And I imagine that there was once upon a time where working wasn't an issue. Like people loved working. Working is not the problem. AI doesn't even have to replace anyone. What I think AI is going to replace is that burden. AI is replacing the burden, or all of this technology and these advances, the systems, ideally it's supposed to protect the burden so that you contribute a little bit of work. You give what you have to society so that somebody can still have the paved walkway when they go on a walk in the morning, and someone can still go down the street. And someone can still buy their cars. Like we still have that, but the burden is being released and reduced so that we can spend the rest of that time living. So it's like part-time working, part-time living. I don't know who's supposed to design it, but I mean, there's so many geniuses in the United States of America. Or at least there used to be. There's so many people who are quiet geniuses, wise men. Get them all in a room and design. Okay? Design it where everybody's part-time working, part-time living. So like, we don't need the burden. Okay, let's continue before I'm on here for longer than I need to be. Okay. I can't even believe I don't even want to read that again, y'all. I don't even want to read that again. Here we go. So the people were scattered throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. The taskmasters were urgent, saying, complete your work, your daily task each day, as when there was straw. Oh, yo, I can't get through this without being upset. What do you mean? What do you mean? I think I believe in God. I believe in God, and I'm thankful because the amount of change that has happened in the world where you now have less to work with. I have no idea how I am still enjoying life and waking up in the morning like, oh, it's good to be here. It is a miracle. It is a miracle to me. it's such a miracle to wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm alive, I'm breathing. Like, this is, I remember the day that it clicked, y'all. I remember the day that it clicked because I didn't always wake up like that or appreciate life like this. I never really thought one way or the other. It wasn't like I was like, oh, life, give it away from me. I never had, I was never there like that. But I just remember thinking like, oh, I cannot believe that I woke up again. Wow. I just remember, and it's sticking with me because then that day I went outside and I was just looking at the trees in this nice pathway that they paved out for me. Some workers did. I was like, oh, look at all the trees here. Wow. I remember how amazing that felt. And it's staying with me. It's staying with me. And I'm like, oh, this is good. At the same time that I appreciate and I enjoy and I love life, I'm still honest about the fact that some things seem off. When I'm observing life and I'm hearing the noise, I'm like, no one is sitting and thinking that's weird. No one has really applied any analysis to some of these basic things that we keep by default running over and over again. We keep running that same system over and over again. We're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, what? That's not right that somebody is doing that. That's not right. Oh my goodness. No one pauses no more, y'all. And even if you do pause, people look at you like you're wild and crazy. Like when she came up on that stage and said, I live. That's what she do. That's what she do. She live. People are like, oh, you cannot live. But this is where I think people got messed up. Because she said money falling out the sky. And I want to play around with this for a little bit. Because what's wrong with it? What's wrong with it, y'all? What's wrong with money falling out the sky? Okay, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I'm like, oh, I gotta be on her side all the way there. So right now, I'm just gonna map it out in just two boxes. There are people, no, actually three. There are people who are logical thinkers and they don't accept a God or any ideas of that. They just think of it logically, like live life, do the logical thing. Then there's a balance, people like logical, spiritual, like I know that Peter walked on water, but I'm not going to try that, right? But there's some spiritual concepts where there's a great balance. Then there are people where there's spirituality and they're like, well, I'm going to use these tools and these resources and it's going to help me. I'm going to use my mindset and my words. It's going to help me. And that's going to create a reality for me. And where we can have a few different outcomes. We can have outcomes where things are really working and we can have no outcomes, right? Then you have people who are strictly religious and spiritual and they also use their words and pray and they don't have no outcomes. And then sometimes they do have outcomes, right? And 3 out of 4 of those scenarios, you can imagine that people are experiencing miracles or manifestations from cases and scenarios that they didn't think was possible. Maybe not something falling out the sky, but like, wow, I'm so glad that happened. To me, I don't know about y'all. Waking up is a daggone miracle. I don't see this is where we get confused. This is where I get confused. Because I'm like, that's the first miracle of the day. Waking up in the morning is the first miracle of the day. Waking up in the morning is the first miracle of the day. I see them and then I continue to see them when I live. The fact that I'm recording and this is going to go out on some internet and a lot of people, the 2 people that watch my videos, I don't know y'all. I might know one of y'all, but I don't know which one of y'all are watching. I'm assuming that I know one of y'all, okay? But the fact that someone can watch this over in Alaska, someone could could be watching my video over in Alaska. That's a miracle. That is a miracle. Whoever built this home, miracle. Because how? How is it still standing? Who designed it? Right? Your thinking and your mindset for that, I love it. I'm appreciative of the gift that you have to be able to build this and that pathway in the park that I walked this morning. That is a miracle to me. But I know logically we can say, well, it takes science and you do this and you do that and then you put this way and then everything works exactly how it's supposed to be. I get it. But how you get here and how'd you even get that thought? That's a miracle. Anyway, my point is saying all of this is when she mentioned the line of fall about blessings falling out the slot. When she started to mention something falling out the sky, money falling out the sky, it made me think about how some people who don't believe in God mention that God is like a sky daddy. Like they haven't met God. They don't see God. They imagine that there's these people who are religious or believe in God that's just imagining the sky daddy, right? And the people who are religious don't see it that way. Again, we have our own religious views, but we're making space to consider how people think. But people who do believe in God, they're not believing that that's a sky daddy. They're believing that they're having true interactions and experiences and blessings coming from that. But in that group itself are people who are going to look at her and say, money falling out the sky? Nah, that's not happening. Just like you can't walk on water, but it is happening in the Bible. So what I'm trying to make, I'm not laying it as well as I want to, but I'm going to write about it because this is a draft. But where I hope to land with this, and I'm going to think this through a little bit, is that falling out the sky seems crazy when you hear the words string together like that, but it's not very different than other miracles happening around us that we can't explain. And it might not be absolutely money falling out the sky. It could be that maybe she does believe, let's say she believed in the scripture. I don't think we got there in the video. But let's say she believed in the scripture and she wholeheartedly believed in the scripture that says, don't you worry about tomorrow, what you should eat and what you should drink. Anyone else logically thinking like, nah, I gotta worry about tomorrow because if I don't go to work, who gonna pay my bills? How am I gonna get the money to not worry about what I eat and what I drink? But if you are truly believing it and you're not, oh yeah, a little faith, right? You got all this faith. You just got a whole bucket of faith. You might be a person who don't have to worry about what you should eat or what you should drink. That's why the spirituality conversation, the religious conversations, they all are so close together because no matter what, these words that we string together, these belief systems that we string together, they could look identical. We just divide ourselves because we want one to be better than the other. But to me, I'm like, we all saying the same thing, but y'all are all saying it differently still. And you all are practicing the same thing where you're like, oh, we're better and we're trying to force you, or no, we're better, so we're going to make fun of you. Like that all is odd to me because I'm looking at everybody like, y'all all saying the same thing. And I imagine that we all want to lessen the burden. We want to live life and we want to live as peacefully as we can amongst each other. There may be a subset of people who don't really want that for people like Pharaoh, like there could be a few Pharaohs out there. There could be a few people who came into this earth ready to devour and destroy. But my theory is that there's a majority of people who are holding on to a belief and they're holding on to something to make sense of this life. And it all looks different. But it kind of looked the same to me. But I'm going to flush that out when I write it. Let's continue. So now where are we? That messed me up. Verse 14. And the foremen of the people of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and were asked, why have you not done all your tasks of making bricks today and yesterday as an... Yo, I wanted to get through this without pausing, but do y'all see how wild that is? He had the nerve. Why have you not done all your tasks of making bricks today and yesterday as in the past? Well, probably because I don't have the same tools and resources. Like, maybe we do need more AI tools so I can be human. Let the AI build the bricks without the straws in a magical way, in a miracle type way. Allow me to be human. Like, let me get a 5-minute break. Is that like so that when I come back, I'm even better for your people? I give you the best bricks ever because you gave me a 5-minute break. You don't think that? Imagine if we were all part-time workers. We probably would work overtime because we probably still would work overtime because now we got this freedom and we're like, oh, I got so much freedom, I want to work a little bit. But then we get the choice to do so. I'm working a little bit more harder. You know why? Because now I have the freedom and I feel good. Like, I'm going to give you my best. I'm going to be your best slave in the United States of America. The best one, right? Because now I got this freedom to do so. You're doing it all wrong. They're doing it wrong. If we work the people into their death, until they're beaten, like you're getting rid of your workforce. If people get burned out and tired, now you lessen the quality that you could deliver to your people because because you're putting money as your God. You're not considering the people because it's at the end of the day, it's all about people. Because if we were left in a world of just AI talking to each other and robots talking to each other and AI is going to the mall, it's like, well, that's the end of the United States of America and Earth and life. Like, being human and being a person is the most interesting and exciting thing about this Earth experience. And the dogs. Right? Like, it's so amazing. It's so amazing to be human, and we should exercise that to our full extent. Like, there's probably so much that we're not able to tap. Why am I getting so loud? Ooh. All right, let's go. Then the foreman of the people of Israel came and cried to Pharaoh, why do you treat your servants like this? No straw is given to your servants, yet they say to us, make bricks, and behold, your servants are beaten, but the fault is in your own people. But he said, you are idle. You are idle. That is why you say, let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. Go now and work. No straw will be given you, but you must still deliver the same number of bricks. The foreman of the people of Israel saw that they were in trouble when they said, you shall by no means reduce your number of bricks, your daily task each day. First of all, let's give a shout out. Somebody has to be the person that speaks up. And when you live in a world where everybody is looking at the next person to speak up and no one speaks up, then no one speaks up. So when people start speaking up, even if they're completely wrong, even if they really don't know how to put their words together, or they fumble on their words, okay? People speaking up matters. And the people that speak up are the ones who do have the questions. The one who are not afraid to say something different. Like, yeah, I want to live for a living. When she says that, it is breaking this whole world. Because it's not like she's saying, oh, I want to hurt people for a living. I want to slash in tires. You know, I want to just sit around and eat food all day. I mean, she could. But she just says, I want to live. And live could mean so much stuff. But when we are stuck in this world and in this environment where we're like, I can't imagine not working. I can't imagine not having my burden. Like, what in the world? I love my burden, right? You can't imagine somebody living life. It's just a whole different environment for you. Like, what? Please close your mouth all the way. Okay, let's keep going. But what I was wanting to say here, I forgot. Whoever that person is that speaks up, and if you're that person, even if it's challenging, even if it's this, like, I don't think I should say that. The magic is just being honest. The miracle is just being honest and being sincere, being genuine, and having inquiry. You don't have to judge the situation because there's probably aspect of this idea of not having money and bartering and giving up that makes sense. There may be some disruption we have to have. But when you're trying to transition to people, you have to consider where their mindset is and how to shift from that mindset to a new one. So like sometimes, let's say when I hear about these battles and it's like, oh, our faith is better than your faith and you guys are the stupid one, how could you ever believe that? And you're like, how could you ever believe that? Right? Everybody's going back and forth. If you truly, I imagine, if you sincerely want people to believe, if that's your angle, that you have the truth or your idea is true, then you would also have to consider what's also true is that maybe someone got manipulated, maybe someone was distorted, maybe someone along the line had a spell cast over their what was true. And if that's the case, then we have to be more sensitive. Like before, not too long ago, when I was like mocking and being condescending, like I had to stop that, right? I gotta reconsider, like, don't say it like that, because everyone is coming from a place where we don't know all the answers. We are exploring, and none of us have achieved the true knowledge so much that they have been able to save the world. Because if that was the case, that person needs to stand up loud and save the world. But who is that person? It's not one individual, I imagine. I have a theory that is collective. That somehow we all have to get to some middle ground in order to get off the ground. Okay, bars. Next one. Or let's continue. Then they met Moses and Aaron, who were waiting for them as they came out from Pharaoh, and said to them, "The Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us stink in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants, and have put a sword in their hand to kill us." Then Moses turned to the Lord and said, "O Lord, why have you done evil to this people? Why did you ever send me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people, and you have not delivered your people at all." Now that's where it really get crazy. That's where it really get crazy, because is Moses being honest? Moses is being honest. He's being honest for one, because he's like, why did you send me? You didn't even, okay. Earlier, because this is what, if you gotta read more of this. I'm gonna stop here because you can read more and figure out the story, but I would say get into it because it's something to get into. But now what's connected to me right now, ooh, is right before God sends Moses. In the previous chapter, he's doing some stuff. He's showing him some stuff. He's showing him what he could do, which I had some questions around because, all right, go back to chapter 4, y'all, just real quick. But one of the things, he's like, put your hand inside your cloak. And he took his hand out, and then it was leprous like snow. So it's like, ooh, that's a miracle. Is that a magic trick? Right? Then he restored his flesh. And then he did something else. He did a lot of things right here in this chapter where you're like, And then after all those miracles and all those, tricks, I don't know if they should be called tricks, but you understand. He's doing things. God is showing, I could do stuff. Can you trust me? I'm giving you something to trust. So then Moses come in. He's like, I'm thinking, like, you just did all this stuff. Isn't it simple for you to just not keep letting the people be in this situation? And this is what a lot of people are wondering. People are still questioning. People are concerned. Like, something don't make sense. Something doesn't make sense. You can do the magic tricks and the miracles. You woke me up this morning. You gave all these people intelligence. What's going on then? What would be the reason and the purpose? Now the person is in my case, I'm shifting. Like, is there creative thinking that has to go on? Is there quality questions that have to be considered? Because it don't match. It doesn't match that a God can create so many miracles, but this simple task seems Okay, I'm gonna stop right there because honestly, did not want to go this long. For some reason, I was just like, get down on the floor and record your YouTube video, no matter what your hair look like and stuff like that, because this is an exciting topic. And if you were here, if you stayed this long, like the video, just so that someone else can come across it and read through this. Give me some feedback. I am writing this out. Don't consider any of these videos as like stamp approved. This is like my work session. This is a part of it with exposure therapy, rejection therapy. My idea is that the more people are not afraid of other people, they remove themselves from that box where they see the other person is doing something wrong and they're like, ooh, I probably should stay low key because I don't want to stand out. It's time for people who are awkward to stand out and to say something and put it together as much as they can. And the last thing I will say, why I like stories in the Bible, why I feel inspired by stories in the Bible is because Moses, in the story that he has, it seems incredible. It's like, oh, Moses, you did all this stuff. But just like Moses, a lot of us don't really know what to say, and we want somebody else to be our mouthpiece because don't have confidence. But there's some confidence that we get when we have something that means something to us. We are attached to our faith and our belief systems that mean something to us. And I know that there's a variety in belief systems that people go in different directions. However, I would encourage us to, one, consider why we believe in whatever we believe in. What's the fruit of the matter? What is the fruit of what we believe in? Is it contributing to your life and the people around us? I feel like they should match. If I was going to be one of those people that's like, hey, you should do this type of thing, that's the type of thing I think we should all try to work a little bit harder each day in doing or considering that, hey, the world doesn't revolve around me. Even though sometimes it feels like it should, or I want it to, it doesn't. But there's a beauty and there's a gift in realizing that, hey, it doesn't revolve around me. There's other people here, and that's exciting. And I want to live, and I want those people to be alive. If people are becoming like slaves and they're working to survive, they become angry and they have attitudes at the checkout line with you because they're tired and they're surviving the system. We don't get the best of the people. We get the worst of them. So, I mean, whoever is the genius, please start designing the plan where we all work part-time. We contribute and we have the robots do the robot things.
The living theory. When a person is taught to define themselves by work alone, they can forget to ask whether they are actually living. This theory invites us to question any system that rewards exhaustion more than peace, and to take seriously the possibility that rest, provision, and aliveness are not childish desires but a part of a healthy life. Is this helping you live well or only helping you survive more impressively? When rest feels irresponsible, pause long enough to question whether that feeling comes from wisdom or from a life shaped by pressure. Before admiring straining yourself or others, consider whether peace, enoughness, and aliveness might be the healthier evidence of a well-lived life.
Until next time, hold on to you as much as you can. Hold on to your healthy well-being and your mind. Be mindful. Bye.
Breathe.